Empowerment Through Knowledge Publishing and Sarina Stone present The Tequila Drinker's Guide to Health and Wellness Radio Hour with your host, author and medical Qigong educator, Sarina Stone. Featuring the director of the Universal Healing Tao and author of dozens of books on natural health and longevity, Tao Master Mantak Chia. This show is for all of us who work hard and play hard. Those of us who are willing to try new things to improve their life, and those who will not tolerate victimization as an answer to health and wellness issues. And now, the Tequila Drinker's Guide to Health and Wellness, Episode 19, Brain Health and Light Therapy. Today's show is about the importance of a healthy brain. Rich Wonder, Master Chia's annual guest practitioner in Tao Garden, offers simple, natural therapies that can actually help the brain become fit and allows us to tap into higher knowledge without drugs.
Today's show is about the importance of a healthy brain. You know, that thing that helps you make intelligent decisions. There are simple, natural therapies that actually help the brain become fit and stimulate the glands that allow us to tap into knowledge much easier. Our guest, Rich Hart, has an amazing story filled with rock and roll and international travel. On May 20th, 2012, Rich had a very unexpected occurrence on an airplane. He passed out, was verified to have no pulse by a medical doctor. And at that time, Rich had an experience in those moments, and he remembers the journey. So there's another amazing thing about this guy, many journeys. But after returning from this journey, he has actually decided to share his memories and the messages of how to best live life after dying. I'm just so excited to spend some time with Rich here in Tao Garden. We're in the dining hall, so as always, we're going to hear dishes and blenders and birds and people walking by, because that's just how we roll here. So, hi, Rich.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Now, Rich, before we talk about the technology behind the brain fitness therapies that you've been providing, let's just talk for a few minutes about your amazing history. I know Janis Joplin was your neighbor. I know you hung out with the Rolling Stones, among other rock and roll royalty. So who were you to them in those days?
I was a nutritional director or consultant, and that was from my background, which was a lot self-taught in the early days. I had a natural food store, herb shop, juice bar, and early day superfoods distribution in a place called Wonder, Oregon.
Aha! Didn't you have a retreat center you were involved with, or I don't actually know what your role was there?
Yes. Then I moved from Wonder to a place called Eden, Arizona, and we had a healing center. We purchased a 200-acre hot springs. It was an old hot springs resort, and I was one of the founders and the director for 11 years there, a detox center, and did all kinds of natural therapies there. So that's kind of my background in the nutritional field.
And listeners, so I've been hanging out with Rich for a while. He's offers this amazing brain therapy that we're going to start talking about, but it's very difficult just to pick a few of the highlights in Rich's past that actually led to a life where you're in touch with some really amazing technologies and understandings of how to live into our potential. Okay, so I don't know if you were going to take a minute or two and throw out some really cool things that you did that, you know, along your journey to take you to this very wonderful life that you have now. What are some highlights? I know the Dalai Lama's in there and stuff. Paramahansa Yogananda was an inspiration as a child. Well, now you don't have to say that, do you? I'm so excited to hang out with this guy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What are some cool things?
Well, one of the things was, Paramahansa Yogananda was a big influence when I was a young child at the age of 9, first came across yoga and the teachings of Paramahansa. So that was a big influence. Weaving throughout my life has been other spiritual leaders and such, Master Mantak, Chia being one of them, reading many of his books. But I also extensively traveled through Asia, in Burma, Bhutan, Nepal, Tibet, and after Tibet, went through North India. Serendipitously, met the Dalai Lama in his home, was invited by the son of one of the people that exiled with the Dalai Lama back in 1959.
Wow.
Yeah, and so was invited. So that was my first meeting with the Dalai Lama, and then
You just happened to pop over.
yeah, it just happened. It was one of those experiences, and then that led to spending 7 days with him in a temple in an initiation for 300 Taiwanese monks, and they had an interpreter interpreted in English. So I was well immersed with those teachings, which affected my life quite a bit.
Wow. All right. So listeners, yeah, I know we want to hear more about Rich, and at the end of the show, we'll tell you how you can get in touch with him. Last time I checked, some memoirs are being written because his life is amazing. I'm going to fast forward into the future and into the present day, and I've been really impressed with what I've been seeing and what I experienced with the neuro treatments now. So we're going to transition to that part of the conversation, and clearly you're no stranger to psychedelics, okay? Because, well, past that, hanging out with the Rolling Stones, Janis Joplin is a neighbor, okay. Master Chia speaks often about the benefits of DMT, by the way, and you know that, and he prefers the natural way to induce the body to produce its own. Now, listeners, we're going to go into what DMT is. It's the psychedelic stuff, okay, that makes you see things, but it's a lot deeper than that. DMT isn't just to see pretty colors, and Rich is going to talk about that. Yeah, Rich, I think that would be the first thing before we talk about the lights and all that kind of stuff. A lot of folks are aware that these lights are helping us to produce DMT. What do you have to say about that, and what has that got to do with brain fitness?
Well, one thing is I have high regard for plant medicines, but there is some detoxing effects that take place, and Master Mantak Chia has explained this to us also. Taking things like ayahuasca, you do have to detox it through the liver. It can take many days. You can also have nauseousness during your experience, and it can be 4 to 6 hours. So I've stumbled across a very safe way to release your own DMT within yourself from your pineal gland, and that was at the brilliant work of Guy Harriman. And about 2.5 years ago, when he first discovered or created this ajna light. His background is quite interesting. Grew up in a medical family. Mother was a famous psychiatrist. His father a neuropathologist. He went on to medical school and also added on computer intelligence and worked with Steve Jobs. And so as a chip designer, microchip designer for 23 years, has a technical left brain that's just genius, and also a right brain because for the past 30 years he's been doing qigong, yoga, chanting, and prayers for over 3 hours a day. So this genius put together a device that is electronic in nature, with a series of precise frequency flickering lights that allows you to gently and safely drop into an altered state of deep meditation. And it stimulates or activates the pineal gland, which allows the release of this dimethyltryptamine, or the DMT, much as it does melatonin and other secretions from the pineal gland also. But it allows us to enter and see dimensions that we don't see through these two eyes, and we see it through what we call the third eye, or the sixth chakra, or the ajna, the pineal gland. It's the gateway to the universe.
Well, now let me ask you something. I've experienced both of the therapies, the ajna and the neural light. I saw a lot of colors in these short sessions that I had with you, for sure. But when I walked out, I wasn't, I don't know how else to say this. I wasn't high. I would know if I was high, like tripping high, okay? And that was not what I was. I wouldn't have even noticed what a lovely day I had if I didn't know for a fact that I had to go back the next morning and discuss my experience with you, okay? It was it was perusing my previous day that I realized, okay, after I had my session with you, life still happened. We're here in Tao Garden. It's a little fire to put out like every hour, with guests and things happening, all over the place. I just floated through my day. Oh, there's a fire, put it out. Oh, look, there's a fire, put it out. There's a positive thing happening. Yippee, But it was like I was in the world, but not of it. Now, that was my pattern, right? I was getting attached to things, and by the end of the day, it takes a while to fall asleep, which is the other thing. I didn't even notice. I just went to bed that night. Just went to bed and didn't have 50 million little tiny things on my mind, And it wasn't that I was unhappy. I was just phenomenally preoccupied, okay? To the point where some folks around here even noticed, oh, there she goes, right? So I guess here's what I'd like to, I'd like to understand more. DMT, again, folks, is the stuff that, I guess if you take a drug, you must be releasing a ton of it. And it makes you high for hours when we take these drugs or plants, whatever. What happened to me? Why didn't I feel like I was tripping?
Well, the thing is that because this device allows you to safely just release some of the DMT, which is like if you have a colorful dream, that's part of that whole process also.
Oh, it is?
Yes, and the studies show now that at time of birth, we're flooded with this DMT. The mother also giving birth to a child, it allows easy entry into this plane. At the time of passing on, our brain is also flooded with this DMT and allows us easy entry into the next dimension. So that's part of what this whole process is. We find that in examples of deep, deep meditation, where monks meditate 2 to 3 hours a day, maybe
Sure.
for 5 or 10 or 15 years, they find that space, through this theta brainwave where they go into that, and it's that space of nothingness, of that empty space. It's a beautiful space. Master Mantak Chia also has designed this darkroom experience here at Tao
Yes.
Garden, which is brilliant. And it's probably an example of like what monks do, where they lock themselves in a deep cave for months on end and experience no light. Here you get an example of it where you can do it for 7 days, 14 days, or 21 days. And during that experience, you can experience a gentle release of your own DMT, to experience inner visions, basically.
Dimethyltryptophan?
Dimethyltryptamine.
Tryptamine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the abbreviation for the secretion, the DMT. So those are things that take place in a deep meditative state on our own natural. And so there's no ups and downs with a chemical drug or anything like that. It's not.
And not only did I not have a, I don't know what you call it, coming down experience, and then I had to detox after. Not only did I not have that, I'm fairly sure, because it's been a couple of weeks since I had my treatments with you, I'm fairly sure something permanent happened. I'm still, I won't say I'm floating through Tao Garden, but I am clearly not hanging on to negativity for very long. Now, that was my wish, because I think you asked me, was there anything you're working on? Do you have any goals? I shared some things, but mostly I was pretty clear inside myself what it was that I was working on, and again, being a little less attached, just a little less, was my goal. And I'm telling you, it's been 2 weeks and I'm still feeling different. So I want to transition into a conversation about what happened to my brain, not just the pineal gland, which, folks, those of you who are interested in a deeper experience of yourself, the pineal gland eventually has to figure in. Every culture on the planet eventually has you meditating on this very important gland in your brain. I encourage you to contact Rich to learn more about this, because or do your research on the internet. It's an amazing, what is it? Is it a hormone? It's a chemical?
Well, the pineal gland is a very tiny gland.
No, but I mean DMT.
The DMT is a secretion from the pineal gland.
So it's not technically a hormone. It's this, well, okay, I'll say it so you don't have to. It's been touted as the spirit molecule, okay, because it just sort of takes you to another place. But again, for those of you guys who are not interested in going on a psychedelic trip, there is a grown-up, user-friendly way to invite the secretion or production of DMT from your body and use it for health and wellness. And Rich is going to go more into that, but probably another time. Today, let's talk about some of this technology. So you've been here in Tao Garden sharing a very modern technology. I haven't seen anything like it for brain fitness. That's how I remember those words. Can you give a little bit of background on what the two different therapies are and why you want to do it?
Well, the two therapies there's actually two devices that are available now. And the first one is this ajna light. And it's because what it does is it stimulates or activates our pineal. That it opens up a portal to a higher consciousness, allows us to see other dimensions and such like this, which is wonderful. So we see beyond this 3D world with these two eyes. It's more of your own personal experience. Every session's a little bit different. And the awareness is awakened. Like what happened to you is you went into a deep meditative state, reached that state, and then it stayed with you. The other thing is with the ajna light, I ask people if they would do an intention, if there's something that they really want to work on in their area of health and wellness, to ask that to higher source, to the universe, and that can come through when you're in an open state, like on the session during the ajna light. So that's what the ajna light does. The difference is now there's a second device that's been developed through the brains of Garnet Dubois, who has been doing over 40 years of brain research, came up with this brilliant idea and created this, what's called the neurolight. And that is actually exercises for the brain. It's 3 different areas. One of it's brain gym. It's kind of like you take your body to a gymnasium and work out. Well, this is easy. You just lie down, relax, close your eyes, same light-based principle. And the programs that take you through different exercises of the brain, which really help. The second one, brain skills, is skills that help develop different areas, cognitive areas of the brain also. And then a third one is called brain gym, where you actually feed light into your brain, which is the one food that the brain loves and sometimes is lacking from people that maybe don't get enough sunlight and such also. So that's the difference. So one is for brain wellness, and it consists of over 100 different directive programs that deal with different areas of the brain. That's the neurolight that I facilitate for here at Tao Garden. The other is the ajna light, which is more of a stimulation of the pineal opening to the portal to higher consciousness, activating what we call the 6th chakra, or the pineal gland.
I suppose when you phrase it that way, I guess I'm stuttering because I'm thinking, and listeners know by now that sometimes I'm so intently listening to who I'm speaking with, I forget to ask questions and stuff. But, you keep using higher consciousness, you talk about portal to somewhere else. I think if I was to get poetic about it, actually, not having the level of stress or anxiety that I experienced before my time with you could kind of be construed as a kind of a spiritual awakening, because I know something now. It's a choice. And it's not, I mean, I hear it all the time. In this industry, you know, Rich, come on. We're always talking about how your thoughts make things happen and and all this stuff. And of course, it's real. But I had a real experience not feeling compelled to step into that more anxiety-filled reality. And it kind of feels like a spiritual awakening. Now, I don't talk about spirituality. It's not my area. I'm not educated there, but it's about as close as I've come. I feel good and I feel connected. I'm not disconnected from that which I'm participating in. And you're right. You used the word intention. That was my intention. Now, let me ask you something. Is there a difference between working with somebody who has an education like I do? And a lot of folks here at Tao Garden have had some kind of spiritual or qigong, right, energy work education. What about people who know absolutely nothing about that? They're just regular folks. They have a religion that works for them. What kind of person, like, what would cause somebody to want to come and try the ajna or neurolight?
Just for a deeper understanding of whatever your path is it allows you to see a more richness in that. Dropping into a deep meditative state is transformational. And that's what these devices are, really, is they're transformational devices that allow us to see something beyond or something different than what we normally see in our everyday
It's true.
workaday situation or being. And so it creates a more richness, and it does stay with you. And it can be much more relaxed because you take things easier. You know, I learned in my experience going to the other side, so to speak, you know, and was allowed to come back, was live life with no regrets. You know, there's things that I want to do. I look at making decisions now. Would I regret it if I didn't do it? Taking life easier, just taking life as it comes, living in the Tao.
Wow. And listeners, wouldn't it be nice if you just felt that way? How would your job feel different? How would connecting with your family feel different if we didn't walk into it with a whole bunch of preconceived notions and fears? That's pretty amazing. That's a pretty amazing gift. All right, so I had an amazing experience, and I shared my story. I better look at the time here. Oh my God, we've been talking for over 20 minutes. That's okay. I had an amazing experience, and I shared, you know, with you guys out there a little bit about it. Before we conclude our time together, give us one or two or three, because they're so entertaining, examples, of course, omitting the name, of folks that came in and then checked in with you later, either for ajna light or neuro light, and had some sort of experience.
Many experiences, because I've facilitated hundreds and hundreds of sessions by now, and people share the experience sometimes right after the session, because the session is so profound. And I mean, an example was last year here at Tao Garden, a man came from Bulgaria, did the session, and after he looked just astounded when after, and I said, "Is everything all right?" And he says, "Yes." And I said, "What did you experience?" And he says, I saw my girlfriend in a hospital." And this was what he saw during the session. And I said, "Wow, was she all right?" And he goes, "I don't know. What I saw was my girlfriend having a baby." And I looked at him and I said, "Are you having a baby?" And he says, "Well, I don't know, but I'm going to go home and call her right now and find out." What he saw was something in the future. And some people see into their future. Some people see into their past. I had another woman.
Wait a minute. Do you think they're going to have a baby together?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations out there.
Yes, yeah, he's communicated with me after, because we had it was so profound what he saw, and it really affected him. Another woman, an interesting experience. During the session, she saw herself as a child. She estimates about 5 or 6 years old, playing in the neighborhood, And she said during the session, she recalled all of her childhood friends in this neighborhood. Not only did she see them, she remembers all of their names, remembers the neighborhood, and remembers the house number of where they lived.
Wow.
I mean, these are things that we just don't normally put into our memory bank, but they were triggered. For some reason, she was to remember that. So there's ways that you can see into your past. There's ways you may have a glimpse into your future. And if nothing else, it allows you a more relaxed, deepened state of your self and awareness.
Wow. All right. Well, listeners, we're here with Rich Hart. And Rich, so one thing I want to let everybody know, I'm stuttering. I got so much in my head and I have to wrap up. I hate it. So, okay. What I do want everybody to know is that you can find Rich here in Tao Garden from November usually through February.
That's
right?
correct.
And you offer the Ajna light and the Neuro light. You're very close with Master Chia, big supporter of him and Universal Tao, big supporter of Tao Garden. So Rich comes back every year and offers his services. That's a great way, actually, to connect with Rich. But you got some other ways to contact you or things to look at out there. So what else should people know about finding you?
Well, with the internet, if you have questions that are further to this, my email is richwonder@gmail.com.
Okay.
That's RICHWONDER
Okay.
@gmail. Also, so for more information on both the Ajna light and the Neurolight, you can go to richheartgoldlight.com.
Okay.
And then I also have a website. My book in the making is going to be memoirs of more in detail of my past experience and
Rock and roll.
interesting,
Yeah.
yes. And that'll all be available on richwonder.com.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Listeners, you know how to reach him now. Maybe we'll see you out here next winter because this is such a great experience. But thank you again for coming. It was just wonderful.
Thank you. So
All right.
happy to be here.
Bye, you guys. See you next week.
Thank you for joining us on another Empowerment Through Knowledge adventure. Want to learn more? Find Master Chia at mantakchia.com. That's MANTAKCHIA.com. Find advanced learning materials, books, and more at sarinastone.com. That's SARINASTONE.com. Thanks for listening, and if you like what you heard, please subscribe today. This podcast was produced by J.C. Warfield Productions in conjunction with the Echo Chamber Studio, Minneapolis, Minnesota.